What it do, one and done crew? Tonight, we sail toward the Horizon League, and someone call Mark Morrison because it's the return of the Mac. Once again, Mike and Eric join me in the studio to chop it all up. Who has it better than viewers of One and Done? Nobody! Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. Welcome to One and Done, your fast break of college basketball information. And we are powered by the universe's greatest website. That's drroto.com. Get on over there and check out everything going on with Doc and the boys. I am your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the old conductor, choo-choo, of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. Follow me, and I will definitely smash that follow back button. 3 deep in the studio tonight, as you can see on this fine basketball program. And when you know that's the case, I'm going right to the man known as El Capitan himself, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. He does the ship, I do the train, Eric does everything else. Follow him on X at MCHolland34, the OG Money Mike. That is Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
Doing great, my friends, and college football is back. And what do we say all the time? That means college basketball is right around the corner. Your boy's been a little under the radar, or under the weather and under the radar, flowing through here. And I'm just going to try to power through this one. We don't want to stop this conference preview series, so we're going to keep powering along. We've done the A10, AEC, ASUN, Big Sky, Big West, Big South, CAA, CUSA, and the train just keeps going. I'm excited, man. Let's get this thing going.
The train is rolling down the tracks. We're keeping our roll on with these conference previews. Mike powering through as always. But that leaves someone else on your viewing devices, on your screens. And you may notice he's last in the intros, but you bet your sweet bottom he is number one in your hearts and los corazones. The Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media. You can find in those Twitter streets at Fantasy Nav. That is Eric the Blue. Mr. Eric Romoff. Eric, good to have you back on screen today, sacrificing for the breadheads out there in the hot yoga studio, doing your thing. What's up, man?
Man, you know that's how we do it out here, hot boxing it, sweat lodging it, peeking my head out from behind the curtains to see what's going on with this conference preview series here. And honestly, I mean, we've got a pretty good pulse on the state of play around college basketball coverage. I don't think there's anywhere else you can go and find this in-depth coverage on every single conference except for those nerds in the Ivy League out there. Make sure you're rocking with us here on One and Done. Make sure all those buttons are hit, those bells are rung. We ain't slowing down. We're getting closer to the season.
Definitely getting closer to the season. As you see, like Mike said, when football season is here, basketball season is right around the corner. Thanks for Patrick for hopping in that live chat 2 hours before the show started.
Ooh, early
what is
bird.
Up? Let's get this show on fire. Patrick knows we like those fire emojis here on One and Done. Heat them up, heat that live chat up. Snake's Eyes joining us once again. Let's get it on. That's right. This isn't the Marvin Gaye "Let's Get It On," is it? I feel more like Mills Lane.
Yeah, that's a name I had.
Definitely celebrity deathmatch. Get it on.
Yeah, let's get it on. And then, of course, look at him. The unheralded hero of Green Screens Media and One and Done. Really? Napesy Hustle, our guy Chris Napier, doing the dirty work and dropping those flames in the chat. Good to see Nape there hanging out with us. Do your part, like Patrick Snake's Eyes and our guy Napesy Hustle did. Hop in that live chat while you're hanging out with us. Let us know you're here. First time, long time. Thanks for the Vine. Whatever you got to do to let us know you're hanging out with us. If you're not watching live, but you're watching later, still hop in the comments, say hi, let us know what you think, and push all of those buttons. More importantly, best thing you could do is tell the hoop heads in your life about Green Screens Media and One and Done, because you heard me call him the OG Money Mike earlier. We're breaking down conference previews right now, but once that season kicks off, it's right around the corner. Like, you know what else is right around the corner? Those DFS streets, and nobody does it better than One and Done and my guy Mike. So make sure you push all those buttons. Get out here for One and Done and what we're doing. You wonder if I can sing the aforementioned boxing Get It On. I'm not sure, Snake's Eyes, if we're crossing over content here or not. But if you wanted me to sing the Marvin Gaye.
He definitely wants the Marvin Gaye. That's what he's going for here.
Let's get it on. Ah, baby. Let's get it on. All right, you did it. You got it out of me, Snake's Eyes. As we lost Mike, but one thing that we will not lose is you, Horizon League fans. The 11-team league, I should say. Last year, the regular season champion was Oakland, who won a hot and deeply contested race by a game over Youngstown State. The conference tournament would prove fruitful for Oakland, as well as they would go on to pull the double-double and win in the championship game over Milwaukee. Via that conference tournament victory, they nabbed that 14 seed and pulled one of the absolute shockers of the tournament when they upset the 3 seed Kentucky. That set off a lot of other dominoes in many different ways this off season. And then they, of course, would run into, yeah, I'm saying it, the buzzsaw that
fire
was NC
emojis.
State. The literal walking fire emojis personified was NC State. And that's who Oakland lost to in the round of 32. KenPom does not have any teams in the Horizon ranked in the top 10, but Oakland and Youngstown were both top 150 teams. Eric, going to go to you first. Going to give Mike a couple of more minutes to gather, recenter, be good to go. So going to come to Eric for the headlines, the Horizon headlines.
Ooh, little alliterative headlines to get us started here. And to keep the tradition alive, we'll start with some coaching changes from around the league. Wright State, we went from Scott Nagy over to Clint Sargent. Youngstown State from Gerard Calhoun to Ethan Faulkner. Detroit Mercy from Mike Davis to Mark Montgomery. IUPUI from Matt Crenshaw over to Paul Corsaro. Green Bay went from friend of the program Sundance Wick to a little known analyst and former player Doug Gottlieb. So a lot of turnover in the coaching ranks. Usually that is an indicator of a league in transition, but turnover doesn't stop there. Also plenty of turnovers among the rosters as well. 3 of the 5 first-team players from last year are all out the door, while the other 2, they did the smart thing. They graduated. They got some cool paper to hang up on their wall. Trey Townsend is off to Arizona. Noah Reynolds off to TCU. Marquez Warwick over to Missouri. So that creates a lot of opportunity, right? Some time to shine for guys from around the conference, and it should be competitive yet again. Should be a really tough year, which has kind of become sort of the staple of the Horizon League. So with all of this turnover, Mike, why don't we look at the other side of the coin and maybe kick us off with some of the returning players in this conference?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we talk about coaching changes. Mike, I'm going to come to you. Let's talk about some cores returning to this conference. A couple of trios and 2 duos as well returning. We're going to start, of course, with Purdue Fort Wayne, because why not? Because Quentin Morton Robinson, that's why. 13 points per game and 40% from deep for Purdue Fort Wayne last season. And then a couple of more fellow backcourt members for this team in Rasheed Bello and Jalen Jackson, who averaged 15 and 16 points respectively. Bello averaged 4 dimes on 35% from 3 right there at the Heinrich line. And then Jalen Jackson had 4.5 rebounds per on 41% from deep. Bello and Jackson were both 13 All Horizon League members. Mike, all of these 3, including Morton Robinson, played spectacular ball last season.
Yeah, we gave this team a lot of shine when we were doing, kind of our polling on what we thought about the certain things, offenses, defenses, who the best coaches were out there. Well, this team, IPFW, found its way on our mid-major list with duos, but really it's a trio, and they got a few more players outside of this that are really good. So Morton Robinson, 5'8" kid, 3-point assassin, 40% from three, like you said, on 253 attempts. So he could definitely make it rain. The thing you like is he took a huge leap in overall efficiency, and then he cut the turnover rate in half, and his offensive rating obviously exploded when you do that. So a really very good player for his size, can really fill it up. And then Bello, a primary facilitator for this team, came over from the D2 ranks, really lit it up. He can beat you at all three levels. He does need to improve with his decision-making, so you'd like to see him cut down on the turnovers, but he is a very good defensive player. And then Jackson, just another guy that burst onto the scene after like an average freshman year at UIC. He can beat you in a number of different ways offensively, gets his hands in the passing lanes on the defensive side. So the thing, Jay, about these three guys, like they just have such good chemistry, which is why they had such a good season last year, even though they hadn't played together. They excel in the up-tempo style that Coach Kaufman likes to play, which is running up and down, kind of like a Toledo style where you're just playing one big and just getting up and down the floor. So one of the most exciting backcourts in the country, and I am excited to watch these guys play again this coming year.
We run into so many instances where a team will win the portal or just do well in the portal. We win the portal is such a subjective, like kind of a silly thing to say because you don't know if you win the portal, you see them all play together, right? But we see teams that go to good portal haul and it just doesn't come together. Like it just doesn't happen. And when you've got as much player mobility as there is, as our guy Eric likes to say, and you can't put that, if you can't form that bond immediately, your team is behind the 8-ball because the teams that do it have put it together so well that a team, like Purdue Fort Wayne is going to take advantage of so much turnover in a conference like this when you have these returning core guys, even though they just, knew each other, they just started to know each other. They played so well together. It just all made sense for sure. And it also made sense, like Johnny K saying in the live chat, that Mike had to take a quick rip. We know that's not the case. We know that's not true.
No.
It's not.
Nobody told me there's a vacuum in my shot here. We were cleaned up a little bit today. So.
Oh, is that what was going on?
Yeah, man. Couldn't just have the vacuum hanging out in the back, man.
Never noticed.
I have a reputation. I have a reputation
breaking down college hoops, cleaning the house.
What a guy!
Anything this guy doesn't do? Sheesh.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because he's going to make the playoffs in our fantasy baseball league too. After he shouldn't, there's no reason that he should have. Like what can't this guy do? What can he not do? It's amazing. It's amazing. What else is amazing is Milwaukee and their returning trio. Kentrell Pullian, the guard, averaged 10 points and 5 boards per game last season. Eric Pratt joining Pullian in the backcourt. 12.5 points, 2 dimes, 36%, just above the Heinrich line there from beyond the arc. And then Faison Fields, bringing a little muscle there to the front court, 9 points and 6 boards per game. Milwaukee looks absolutely primed and ready for a big year, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about Pullian, been a steady force for this program for the last couple of years. His outside shot really struggled last year, but he's capable of getting into the high 30s. Plays under control. He's going to be asked to facilitate more this year with no BJ Freeman. I think he's an X factor for this group. Like what his ceiling is really going to tell the tale for Milwaukee. Pratt, he found a nice home last year. He transferred from Texas A&M. Very efficient, rarely turns it over. He had some monster games early in the season before Freeman returned. He's a guy that could challenge for an 18 to 20 point per game type season. And then Fields, like Pullian, found a home after he transferred from Old Dominion. He carved out an important role as a rebounder and shot blocker on this team. His offensive game continues to grow. He does most of his damage at the rim, but you really rely on him to anchor your defense. And I think he's got a chance to be on the all-defensive team, if not a challenge for Defensive Player of the Year. So, probably not the numbers that, the Purdue Fort Wayne guys put up, but very, very solid trio that's returning for Milwaukee, even though they're losing BJ Freeman.
That's a big loss, right? Like that hurts a little bit. But when you've got a core like this coming back, it definitely helps for sure. Now the gang's all here. Peanut Butter Posse in the live chat saying, whatever. Say what you want about Coach Prime, and I will. No, it's just it's tough to to see him in a big time program. Like, I don't know, man. It's the first game. Who knows, right? Like, and it's Colorado too. Like, when you bring in 85 new guys, how many guys did they bring in this year? Like, talk about a portal haul. Like, this guy is like, he lives there literally in the portal. But yeah, good stuff. Good to hear from Peanut Butter Posse. And then Snake's Eyes. Jay has a mixer. Mike has a vacuum. We are, there are no boundaries around here. It's all good. Okay.
I got a bucket and a mop.
Well, that's for something else. But here around here, there are no boundaries and labels on One and Done. We're all at one big part of the Green Screens Media universe. We appreciate everybody hopping in the live chat. Good to see it so lively this early in the show. Keep that going. Push all those buttons if you haven't. As now we move on back to Eric to give us a little bit on Northern Kentucky. Trey Robinson and Sam Vinson here, a duo returning. Look at that nice graphic. That's sharp. Trey Robinson averaged 12 points, 7 boards, and 2 steals. Made the all-defensive team in the Horizon League last year. And then Vinson, 13 points, 5 boards, 3 dimes, 2.5 steals. Eric, this backcourt can find a myriad of ways, to put it just lightly, to beat you, and both are mainstays in this program.
Yeah, both of these guys bring a lot of versatility, right? I'll start with Robinson. He enters year number 5 because we're still doing the COVID year thing for a little bit longer. He's very much so the anchor of this defense, right? You mentioned some of his all-conference accolades, right? Comes in standing at 6'6", so it gives him the versatility to play a number of different positions. And on the offensive end, he really excels at getting to the rim, right? So that's definitely the core of his game. But he can step out and knock down a shot or two, right? So he's got a few different ways that he can hurt you. Gotta like his toughness, right? Definitely one of those guys that will grind a game down. And then for Vincent, he's coming off the ACL tear early last year, so we'll be keeping an eye on his recovery. Another versatile piece, 6'5" in his case, beats you on both ends of the floor. Hovered around a 4% steal rate for the majority of his career, so you got to keep your eyes peeled that he doesn't poke one out, right? On the offensive side, you don't really have to run plays for him, right? He can get a shot wherever he happens to be on the court and be pretty effective at making it. He knows where to be. He knows when the time is for him to pull the trigger on his shot, when the time is to kick it out. Just these two guys in general, right? Like they are Swiss Army knives. You can use them in a number of different ways. And I think it's going to give Northern Kentucky a lot of flexibility in terms of how they use the rest of the pieces on their roster this year.
It makes a lot of sense when you got guys this talented. It helps to be able to just, let's go here. Let's go here. Oh, this guy got hurt. Now we can put you here. Makes it easy on a coach when you got players of this quality that can do that. So good stuff there for Northern Kentucky. Last duo here returning. Let's go to Wright State. Alex Hubricks in the backcourt and Brandon Noel in the front court. Hubricks averaged 12 points, 3 dimes, and 42% from beyond the arc. Straight fire. Noel, 14.5 points, 8 boards, 40% from deep. Good enough for second team All Horizon League. Good stuff there. Definitely like looking at your bench as a coach, Mike, and seeing those guys to be able to call them up to start a game for you and to really build around as the core of your program that have been there, Mike, and have put in the time at Wright State.
Yeah, for Hubricks, a nice surprise last year. Really found himself as a central piece of the offense. Look at the slash line. We always love these. 53, 42, 83. Absolute breakout year. Now he's entering year 5. One of the top offensive weapons in the league. And then you have the big man, Noel here. He's just been awesome his first 2 years in college. What can he do on offense, really? But when you look at it, defensively, you worry about him maybe a little bit. But he's still expected to be one of the top bigs in the conference. So, just look at these two, right? They did lose a lot. We'll talk about that as we move on to the tiers here, Jay. But, Alex Hubricks, very, very good offensive piece. And then Brandon Noel, man, this 2-man game is going to be pretty awesome.
No doubt about it. 4 teams there who we really like their returning cores. That's Purdue, Fort Wayne, Milwaukee, Northern Kentucky, and Wright State. that may be reflected in our tiers later. How we remember those. Check that out right there. Keep it in the old
File it away.
in the old noggin there. File it in the old noggin. Hey, look, Peanut Butter Posse. We might be a little old, but we know what WAP is. Okay, like we know what WAP is. All right, don't worry. We didn't think you were being derogatory when you just put WAP in there, like the bucket and the mop. We knew. You're good.
Why I
You're
have
good,
those items
Butter
back
Posse.
here.
Yeah, that's why I told him it wasn't for the cleaning. It was for the other thing. We got there, though. We're all on the same page. Keep it coming in the live chat. We definitely appreciate it. How about a 5-pack? We like a 5-pack around here on One and Done. 5-pack of some other players to watch in the Horizon League. And boy, do we like this 5-pack quite a bit, including one transferring into the conference. Tevin Smith right up there at the top. Guard heavy on the guard. Makes you wonder a little bit about, the way this league's going to be run. Tevin Smith, Cleveland State, 8 points and 4 boards on 44% from deep. Foster Wonders, great name from Green Bay there. 8 points, 39% from 3. Not as good a name as DQ Cole, though. DQ Cole will end up on some all-name team for me by the time this is over with. The Oakland guard, 9 points, 36% from deep. Justice Williams, nice strong name, Justice Williams. The Robert Morris guard, 12 points, 2.5 dimes. And then Seam Eindahl, the Youngstown State guard, transferring in from Canisius, where he averaged 13 points, a steal and a half, and 38% from deep. Easy for me to say there, Eric. Which one of these cats would you like to put a little bit of focus on?
I'll just rip right off the top. I'll go back to Tevin Smith, right? Feels like he's poised for a big year as the centerpiece of this offense. Last year was very effective on both ends of the court. And, this team is really going to go as far as he goes. He is he's the straw that stirs the drink, many would say. So definitely will be a fun storyline to watch with Smith and Cleveland State. The other name I want to go here is Justice Williams. Like you mentioned, strong name, transferred in from LSU last year, led the team in both usage and shot rate, and his efficiency is probably the area that we're gonna lean on him to get a little bit better, right? But if it was maybe his first year, being the guy playing these bigger minutes, there are a number of things that can contribute to a bit of a dip in efficiency. We'll watch to see if that recovers. I'm expecting him to continue to expand into that wider role and really be a force in this league. Mike, those are my two. You have any thoughts on the other three up here on the graphic?
Yeah, Jay's all name. DQ Cole kind of lost the shuffle with Golke and Trey Townsend, those guys. But he quietly did his thing, can shoot it from deep. I expect him to be a focal point this year in Oakland's offense. And then Seam Eindahl, injuries really derailed a nice year for him at Canisius, but he love his size. I think he steps right into a prime role for Youngstown. Foster Wonders, just a really good high IQ player, can hurt you from 3 as a spot-up shooter. I mean, he's not a guy that's really going to draw headlines, right? But he just gets his work done efficiently and effectively. So, I'm looking forward to how these guys perform. I think it's going to have a lot of say in how this conference shakes out.
Are you saying that Foster Wonders, that brings the lunch pail every day, wears his hard hat, all the little things, like he's that guy?
That Foster Wonders.
First guy in, last guy out.
First guy in, last guy out, right. Yeah. Let your daughter date him, that sort of thing. Yeah, I got you. Okay, good deal. Good stuff there. 5 players to watch in the old Horizon. Smith, Wonders, Cole, Williams, and Eindahl, the Canisius transfer, now suiting up for Youngstown State. All right, we've reached the time. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. Eddie V in the live chat, dropping the fire emojis. Ooh. What's
nice.
Up, Eddie? Long time no see. Good stuff there. Always good to see you. And Johnny K, you know why I like that DQ name so much.
We're here in Texas.
Johnny K, yeah. That's what I like about Texas.
Got it in before he could.
Yeah, you knew that was coming. But good job.
Gimmick
good on
infringement
you.
at its
good
finest.
Hey, that's okay. He gets.
Yeah, that's quick hands in the passing lane, my guy.
Exactly. Got to be quicker than that. Deflections are good too. You don't always have to get the steal, Eric. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Get your hands in the passing lane for Sure. Good stuff, Johnny, Eddie V, Snake's Eyes, Peanut Butter Posse. Man, Johnny K, Chris is in there, Patrick from earlier. Keep it going.
Got the
Loving
crew.
seeing the live chat rolling. The gang's all here. Be a part of the gang here on One and Done. The Green Screens Media Universe. Do all that stuff. Push all those buttons. If you're watching with us on Twitter, like we know some of you are wont to do, get on over to YouTube. Green Screens Media in your search bar there. Hit that button, subscribe, notification bells. We are up to 1,148 subs at the time of recording. Who is going to get us to that 1150? The old 1150. Let's see if we can get there by the end of the show. Tell the hoopheads in your life about One and Done and about our world famous tears. No, not the tears that Detroit Mercy fans shed last year every single night, even when they won. Because that night they cried because they were so happy that they finally won a game. And all the rest of the nights they got the brakes beaten off of them and got played out of the building. That is foreshadowing for where Detroit Mercy is going to be in our tiers this season as well. But that's not where we're going to start. We're going to start with Cleveland State, 11-9 in the horizon last year. Losses of Inaruna, Williams, and Louder definitely hurts. But Smith returns and will have a big role. Taj Stavesky is transferring in. Another guy transferring out of Canisius and into the Horizon. Stavesky and Amoeba Diba, the South Carolina transfer, now suiting up for Cleveland State. They're going to do enough on a nightly basis in that backcourt to keep this Cleveland State team in the mix. So I'm leading off in the old mid tier. And Mike, guess what? You get Detroit Mercy. Enjoy.
Is it because of the last show, man? Like, I just felt like you were just living in the low to start these tiers, but I get it. Detroit Mercy, 1-19. Kind of stole my thunder here with where they're going to end up. We're going to put them in the low. Tough year, new coach, new players. I'm looking at Eastern Michigan transfers. Jeter here and Lovejoy. I think they're going to have to step into big roles. It just figures to be another tough year on both ends. And you know what? While I'm sitting here in the low tier, I'll just keep it going with Green Bay here. They were 13-7 last year, had Noah Reynolds, and that awesome year that he had with Sundance Wicks. But we got the Doug Gottlieb show, both here and on the radio still, I guess. So, but really the problem with this is the talent, right? There's some interesting pieces to go along with wonders here. I mean, you got some transfer bigs like Isaiah Miranda from Oklahoma State, Donovan Santoro from Providence. Those guys have upside. I think it's going to take another year. Maybe Gottlieb can hit up the phone lines there and maybe get some recruits up there. So I'm going to have to go ahead and stick Green Bay there in the low with Detroit Mercy. Eric, please save us from the low tier, my friend.
Yeah, I can bring a little bit of good news by shifting gears to cover Purdue Fort Wayne, 11-9 in conference play last year. Big time talent with QMR, with Bello, with Jackson, right? Also, Eric Mulder, very good big man to go with that trio that we've already spotlighted. A lot of this team is back from prior seasons, primed for a big year. We love it when guys have time served inside this system. So Purdue Fort Wayne feels like a pretty easy way to kick off the high tier.
Makes a whole lot of sense there. And you're living up in the high tier now, and I'm going back low with IUPUI. Not a surprise if you've been paying attention. Last year, it didn't go the way they wanted it to, and that usually leads to a lot of turnover. And at a program like this, it's tough to piece together what basically amounts to an entirely new roster, 75% of which is either D2, JUCO, or True Frosh is coming in to play. So there's going to be some players that are going to get chances at this level that have never gotten them before. We're going to see if that can pan out. Maybe they can steal an extra few games here and there, sneak up on a few people, but I feel like it's going to be another long year and they're going to live in the low tier. Guys, Johnny K is not rooting for Gottlieb. Do we have is the consensus sort of around college basketball right now? Like, and I mean like online, like in those Twitter streets and stuff like that. Is Gottlieb like getting the good rub here? Is people not feeling this? What is y'all sort of temperature on the Gottlieb deal?
I think it's kind of 50-50. I think some people think it's kind of cool that he's doing both. I think it's I'm in the camp that it's a little awkward, right? Like it's I don't know. Like this is your head basketball coach, but you're not living and breathing it, I guess. I don't know. So it's kind of tough, Eric. Any thoughts on that, man? It just we've never seen anything like this too. So
Yeah, honestly, I had a pretty similar word choice, right? The word I was going to go to is goofy, right? Like it's I mean, maybe we're self-aggrandizing here, but as people who make a lot of content and know how much work goes into it, if I had to,
right?
moonlight as a head basketball coach for a D1 program, I certainly wouldn't have the gas to give it my all. Something's got to give, right? So I think it's a weird setup. I totally get why Green Bay did it, right? Like
Yeah,
he is
absolutely.
going
for
to
sure.
he's going to immediately be the highest name recognition coach that they've had in quite some time, possibly ever, right? So like it makes sense why they're going for it. He wanted to get back, at least explore the coaching game, and with a school like Green Bay, and kind of name his price, and they looked him up at it. So we're gonna see how this thing goes. But man, my guy is gonna be tired.
Guys, this isn't Pat McAfee doing his show in Indianapolis and then getting on a jet and flying out to do Monday Night Raw once a week. Okay,
Yeah.
like this is not the same. This is wild that this is all going to continue, but I love it. This is a movie where it's either going to go really really well or it's a car crash either way, and I feel like it's going to be great. All right, let's move on from that one. Good stuff in the live chat. Milwaukee, Mike, where are you putting them in our tiers?
All right, Milwaukee. We profiled their big three, so guess where they're going? They're going up there in that high tier. Not only do they have that big three, but Louisiana transfer guard Themis Folks, nice portal pickup. Also, a guy that I really like, AJ McKee, coming in from Queens, average 19 points per game. This team is built to do some damage on the offensive end. So up there in the high tier, Northern Kentucky, Eric, you got them up there with us?
Let the good times roll. It's going to be the Robinson Vinson show. If you're keeping score at home, generally, if we profile several members of your team, we're kind of bullish on the squad. Northern Kentucky is very much so fitting that mold. Not only do we have those two in Robinson and Vinson, but they've got help around them, right? Like we've got Wells supporting them. We've got Etieri out there, right? Like, these are guys that have been in the system. They bring some outside shooting. They bring some shot blocking. I think that none of these guys are necessarily necessarily elite in those categories, but can certainly contribute, kind of round out the depth and the viability of this team overall. So Northern Kentucky heading on up to the high tier for me.
Someone that lived in the high tier last season, at least by the end, was Oakland. That was definitely a dream season, right? And unfortunately, I'm not saying it'll all come crashing down, but there's going to be some regression. Yeah, we talked about Cole. He's there. But they're going to need Jason Woodrich who came in from Cleveland State, and then Alan Mubeka, the Kansas City transfer. Woodrich and Mubeka are going to have to be not just good. Like if Oakland is going to play anywhere near where they, 12, 13 conference wins, they're going to have to be great. They'll probably end up being somewhere in the middle, probably be really good. And then Campy's an awesome coach out there, but I'm bringing them down a little bit. We're going old mid for Oakland this season. Robert Morris up next, Eric, where they live in.
Yeah, so I guess I'll break the streak, right? Robert Morris coming in after a 6-14 campaign last year. Justice Williams is back. We talked about him a little bit earlier in the show. They also brought in a transfer guard from NC State, Cam Woods, who's an intriguing piece, right? Like some of the other pieces around this roster, I think they take a bit of a step forward this year. They're going to be a little bit more competitive, going to be a tougher out, but I don't think they're going to make a full leap from where they were last year, again, 6-14. So we'll slide Rob Moe into the mid tier here. Mike, got a few teams left. You want to go Wright State? You want to go Youngstown State next?
How about I take both, my friend? Let's go Wright State here. 13-7 last year. They're going to lose Trey Calvin and Tanner Holden. Man, that was an impressive duo. But you got Hubricks, you got Noel back. man, I wish this team would have gotten into the tournament. Thought they could have scared, but obviously Oakland, whoever was going to win that Horizon was going to scare somebody, and obviously they ended up doing that. But you have guards Andrew Welledge, Trey Carter, played well in limited action. A little nervous about them defensively, but I'm going to go ahead and put them up in that high tier. And then Youngstown State, 14-6 last year, a game out of the regular season title. Old DJ Burns, not that DJ Burns, the other DJ Burns is out the door, headed off to his professional career. They're going to rely on a ton of new faces. You got Nico Galletti, someone that we spotlighted last year for Sacred Heart. He's one to watch. Guard Jason Nelson's coming over from VCU. He's a steady hand. I think Youngstown, I still know the ceilings there, but I love the floor. So go ahead and put them in the mid to finish this thing off.
I like it. Nice and balanced there. Good looking conference as we break down these tiers from bottom to the top. Down in that low tier. Detroit Mercy, IUPUI, Indiana University, Purdue University at Indianapolis, for those wanting to know and not use Google. And then Green Bay, Gottlieb not getting the rub from one and done this year. I think they're going to finish in the low tier. The old mid tier, Cleveland State, Oakland, Robert Morris, and Youngstown State. And in that old high, so high tier, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Milwaukee, Wright State, and Northern Kentucky, who our guy Johnny K is always kind of liked, and says they have a cool court too. So good
Not
stuff.
as cool
there
as Oregon.
Johnny K. Well, no, but there's very few that are. Very few. I like that. That's a badass court. I mean, respect. Okay, respect when it's due. All right, let's do it. Respect. Northern Kentucky for sure. Good stuff there in the Horizon League as the sun sets now on that conference on one and done. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Push all those notification bells. Do your thing so you know every time we're going live and you don't miss these fine, friendly faces on your viewing device. Look at that. He even gave you a little smile, a little grin there. Look at that guy. He's not just a handsome guy. He'll smile for you too. He does all the graphics. Look at him. Look at that guy. Don't you want him to do your graphics? No, he can't because he only does ours. Well, he does a few, but that's not the point. Push those buttons at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. You'll get to know him a little bit more. At Dr. William Cannon, at MC Holland 34, at The Real Napier for our guy, Nape C. Hustle. And then, of course, at One and Done CBB on all the socials over there on TikTok, on IG, where that'll get rolling when we start our betting stuff. And then Twitter as well. Our top 20 players returning in the country. That countdown is coming in the not too distant future. So make sure you're following on all platforms so you see when those drop. Hit all those buttons when you see those two little poop. Never hurt you. Just poop. Help out. Feed Daddy Algo a little bit, Get your one and done broskies out there in the universe. Moving on now. Past the Horizon League. It is the return of the MAC. The Mid-American Conference. 12 teams. A dirty dozen, if you will. Last season, the regular season champion was old Toledo Rockets. And friend of the show, Coach Kowalczyk, who claimed their fourth straight regular season title, finishing one game above Akron and Ohio. In the conference tournament, Akron would beat a surging Kent State team to earn the auto bid. A 14 seed they were awarded for their troubles and got rode over by Creighton. Nothing wrong in losing to Creighton by 17. A lot of teams got beat down by Creighton last season, and Akron was just another one on the list in the first round of the big old tourney. Ken Palm's metrics, another instance of a conference, without any top 100 teams. Although Akron did come in at 122 in the country on Ken Palm's numbers. Eric, coming to you again first here for the headlines in the old Mac, Miss Mary Mac.
Sheesh. If you don't have anything nice to say, actually,
Mac heat?
Look, the issue is, and nothing really sticks out, right? Like, status quo has been maintained, no coaching changes. They lost a lot of talent via the portal. So they got some guys heading to other leagues around the country. So maybe we just dive into some of those headlining players, Jay.
After all that, I set up the MAC. I like just all the jungle. I just chopped through there with the machete to get to the MAC, and then nothing sticks out, huh? That's what we got. It's that kind of conference.
Call them like we sees it, right?
It's that kind of conference, and we do seize it. We seize it boring, but boring from the perspective of coaching changes, which again, we talked about the Horizon League that had 5 coaches that are brand new to the conference. And now you look at the MAC and everybody's been there. There's a bunch of veterans to the MAC. And speaking of veterans to the MAC, how about some headliners returning a 4-box around the league? And we're going to start with first team All-MAC and co-defensive player of the year, Anthony Pritchard, of course, the guard from Central Michigan, 13 points, 5 boards, 5 dimes, steal and a half per. If you've never seen Pritchard play, like look at the stats and then you're like, oh yeah, he's the guy. Yeah, that's it. He is the guy. Just put the tape on. He's the guy. He is. He's amazing. Von Cameron Davis is also not too shabby. The Kent State forward, 14 points and 5 boards. Honorable mention, All-MAC last year. Sharif Mitchell, the guard for Ohio there, you see on your screen, 13 points per game last year. And then Javon Simmons, the Toledo big man, 12 points, 5 boards on the all-freshman team in the conference. Mike, I'm going to put it up on a tee for you here. My guy Pritchard, your guy Pritchard, our guy Pritchard. What else can we say about him and what he's going to do in this conference this year?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely broke out after being kind of a solid role player for Tulsa his first few years. And I think he's not much of an outside shooter, but he's a great passer. I expect this offensive game to continue growing. The part of the game that doesn't need much help is on the other end, the defensive end, just a premier perimeter defender. And CMU lost a lot. We're going to talk about them in the tiers, obviously, but bringing him back, he's kind of their linchpin, Eric. Why don't you talk about, maybe an all-namer for Jay here, Von Cameron Davis?
Yeah, Cameron Davis, or Von Cameron Davis, I should say, is kind of interesting, right? Undersized forward. He's entering year number 5 in the program, so has been around the block a bit. Came up huge at the end of the year. Actually, 3 out of the final 4 games, he posted 20 or more points. Almost enough to will this team to the NCAA tournament. They came up just a hair short. And a guy who isn't going to necessarily overwhelm you on either end, but super solid, right? Dependable guy. And apparently, based on the end of the season run last year, he can reach back and do a couple things. So definitely someone that's coming in a little bit hot and a name to watch. Jay, a couple names left here. You want to tap in with Mitchell? Or you got something to say about Simmons?
Yeah, I'll take my man loading year 6 there with Sharif Mitchell.
Oh boy,
yeah, it's almost done, boys. We're almost done with it all. He spent 4 of those years at Creighton, just sort of, biding his time, a deeper bench piece, I guess, if you will. And then, he comes out and finally got that big time role that he was looking for, and he excelled. Like he didn't drop the ball, no pun intended. Savvy vet, knows how to play. He's been around the game. Obviously, you spend that much time in the Creighton program, you're coached very well. You pick up how to play the game, even if you're not getting those minutes on the floor that he did last season for Ohio. Now that he really knows the system, Mike, and the grind of playing those bigger minutes and what it's going to take to be successful consistently across the season, I expect him to take another step forward and be even better.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something to say, right? When you're a role player for your entire career, not playing very many minutes, sometimes not playing at all, right? And then you just jump into a 20, 25, 30-minute role, and all of a sudden you're taking a lot of shots. So, yeah, I think there is some upside to Mitchell's game because he's going to be used to that type of setting now. So I'm going to, obviously take a look here at Javon Simmons. Look, so many great guards and wings have come through the Toledo program over the last handful of years. Unfortunately lost a few of them here through the transfer portal this offseason. But really it was, when you kind of look back at last season, it was Simmons' ability to play that small ball 5 that really turned heads. Redshirt freshman last year. He's going to be in line for a big-time role, and he's going to be tasked with leadership. This team is very, very young. So it'll be interesting to see when we get to the tiers section, 4-time defending champ here, how we feel about Old Toledo there. But Simmons, a very good player.
Good stuff there. 4 box of returning players, headliners, if you will, showstoppers even. Anthony Pritchard, Von Cameron Davis, Sharif Mitchell, and Javon Simmons. You know the transfer portal is popping and just absolutely just molten lava hot when a team and a program that has the culture built in like Toledo is losing players to the transfer portal. I mean, obviously we know NIL plays a big part of that, and that's something that we haven't talked a ton about on a lot of these preview shows, the NIL side of things. But we've talked to Coach Kowalczyk. We've discussed the culture that's
Just
out
gets
there
it done.
in the Toledo program,
Yeah.
and that just lets you know, like, hey, every kids in every program are out searching for greener pastures in their eyes, and it's so hard to maintain these. It's so hard to keep these cores, and that's why we like to put a spotlight on some of these cores returning in these conferences, because hey, when it happens, you know those teams are already at such a big advantage for sure. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you're hitting those like and subscribe buttons, notification bells. And we're finishing up here with the old Transfer City, another 5-pack from around the league, I should say. The old macaroni in a pot, if you will, just like old Peanut Butter Posse said. Indeed, and this pot is being stirred up with all of these transfers entering this conference. We can keep calling back to WA Peanut Butter Posse. Find another way to do it. I believe in you. Transfer City here, 5-pack around the league. Josiah Harris, the only member of any team's front court on this 5-pack. That is a theme on these 5-packs tonight. A bunch of guards and Josiah Harris for Akron, formerly of West Virginia. We saw him play quite a bit in this country, in Big 12 country, I should say, down here in our neck of the woods on the I-35 corridor up and down. But he averaged 5 points and 4 boards for the old Mountaineers last season. Marquise Burnett, the Kent State guard, formerly a Presbyterian, where he averaged 14.5, 2.5 dimes, and 2 swipes per game. Peter Suter, the Miami, Ohio guard, 10.5 points, 3 boards, and 3 dimes for Bellarmine last season. James Dent, transferring from Western Illinois. So basically, like here's the map. He was Western, and now he's Northern. Western, now he's Northern Illinois, bringing 11 points and 4 boards per game averages from last season. And then Buffalo transfer Isaiah Adams, now playing for the aforementioned Toledo Rockets. He averaged 13 points, 4 boards, and 4 dimes per game last year for Buffalo. Man, like these are 5 like that are, they're going to make an immediate impact. They're going to hit the ground running with their respective teams. So, Eric, where do you want to start?
That's a tough choice. I think I'll start with Josiah Harris coming in from West Virginia. I can't believe he didn't sing, right? But we'll leave that for another time. Akron bringing in a lot of guys from the Power 5 ranks, right? Harris is a guy that grades out as a very nice offensive weapon in the context of the MAC, and they will need him. They need a solid year from him if they want to continue what they are building there at Akron. The other name that we have to mention here is Peter Suter, right? Coming in after 2 solid years at Bellarmine. Really good size for a point guard, needs to improve on his shooting overall, but he does a great job getting into the lane, creating a bit of havoc. So these are the 2 names of the 5 that really stick out to me. Mike, what do we need to know about the other 3 on the list?
Yeah, I'll take a look at James Dent here. Yeah, obviously going from, as Jay said, Western Illinois up to Northern Illinois. I mean, he's a slashing wing that can put pressure on the rim and kind of profiles what Adams is going to bring to Toledo here. Both of these guys, slashing wings that can, obviously get to the basket. But when you look at Adams, right, like his ability to facilitate is going to work very well in this up-tempo Toledo offense. So excited for both guys and their opportunity that they're getting here. Then Marquise Barnett, Presbyterian, right? He's put up good numbers with them. Just think he's a steady guard on both ends for them. He's not going to beat you from deep, but if he gets in the lane, he's pretty tough to stop. So I love what he can bring on the defensive side for Kent State, and that's something that they really hung their hat on here. So, Jay, man, like we got a lot of transfers in this conference. These are 5 that kind of stick out to us, but there's a lot of players coming in that will kind of mention in the tiers, and one of these guys could definitely be an X factor for sure.
Yeah, you could even say that Josiah Harris traveled down those country roads, take me home to the place I belong. He left West Virginia, went to Akron. There you go. All right, we got it in. I was gonna get around to it, Eric.
We're just feeling your shine tonight, man.
All right, it's okay. That's all right. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. We are good. And there's that graphic popping up. Josiah Harris, Marquise Arnett, Peter Suter, James Dent, and Isaiah Adams. Keep your eyes on these transfers into the MAC. You're going to want to see how they impact their respective programs for sure. Look at this. There's some Norse in this house. There's some Norse in this house.
Yeah.
Hey, Peanut Butter Posse.
There it is.
Salute.
I know we can depend on you. This is good stuff. This is only on One and Done are you getting this quality content in the live chat. Nowhere else in the world, honestly.
Facts.
Nobody else is doing what we're doing out here in these streets. I promise you. Make sure you hit all those buttons so you don't miss anything that we're doing. Tell the hoop heads in your life, the broskies and broskettes, if you will, to get on over to One and Done. Get on over to the green. I know you will. I know you do all the time. That new sub, Eric. Where'd that come from? Oh, I talked to so and so on the subway. Oh, cool.
He put a QR code on Wendy's.
He's like, oh, I was taking a helicopter tour of the Great
Bro,
Wall
what kind of lifestyle you got me leading over here? The real answer is like I'm at Starbucks and someone breaks out their phone to pay, and I'm like, hey, while you got that unlocked, just go ahead and smash that button.
Yeah.
And they're like, I will hit it if you stop talking to me.
If you back away from me, please, and stay 50 feet away, I will push the button, I promise. Either way, a button's a button, and push them all if you can, for sure. All right, it's time. Time for the old cheers. Time for the old, speaking of tears, oh, Buffalo. That's another team that, you know, it was like a Horizon League. We had 1-19. Now we got a 2-16 team in the conference. Those tiers were there. Not those tiers, though. Not those tiers. Talking high, mid, and low tiers. And because I can, I'm starting with Akron. They're going to rely heavily on their transfer class. We talked about Josiah Harris earlier. Seth Wilson from West Virginia. James Okonkwo from UNC. Isaiah Gray from Cornell. And Bowen Hardman from Ohio State. Hello? Those aren't just some scrub schools that don't recruit basketball players. Okay? They all have the pedigree to make an impact. And then, you know, their coach is just gross. John Gross, of course. Not Gross. John Gross. He's a good one for sure. Put him in the high tier.
Look at this guy.
Right there in the high tier. All right, where are we going? Ball State, Mike.
Ball State. 7-11 last year, but unfortunately they lost some pieces here. Their front court's back, and they added a guy that used to play there. So I think their front court's got a chance to be pretty good. Mickey Pearson, 12 points per game. Mason Jones had a decent season. Peyton Sparks, who was very, very good, transferred to Indiana last year. Didn't really get the run behind Renew and Kello Ware and those guys. So he's back, and I think he's obviously going to make an impact. Kentucky transferred Joey Hart, peanut butter, add some upside here for Ball State. I just worry about the ceiling. So, Eric, I'm going to stick them in the old, as Jay says, mid. So why don't we go to you for some Bowling Green action, who was living in that mid range last season.
And by the way, that was a good mid there. That was good.
Yeah, two things. Rock solid mid, and there's not a single gimmick in Jay's Rolodex that's safe tonight. We're touching them all. My guy's gonna be having an identity crisis by the time this show is over. If you were here paying attention when we were talking about the tiers of the Horizon League, you might have noticed I was only talking about those upper echelon teams. So it's only fair. I'm going to jump over I'm gonna christen the first team here in the low
Let's
tier.
go.
Bowling Green, 10-8 last year. They had guard Trey Thomas, had a pretty nice year for them, posted 11.5 points per game. Really gonna have to rely on a lot of transfers, right? We've detailed ad nauseum just how difficult it is for a team to bring in a pile of guys from the portal and to find what works for them quickly. And beyond that, I worry about this team defensively. I feel like we're probably going to see them take a bit of a step back. So like I mentioned, Bowling Green heading into the low. Mike, think you might have someone joining them here quickly. Who's up next?
Yeah, Buffalo 2-16 last year. They're going to be one of the youngest teams, not just in the conference, but in the country. Guards Ryan Sable and Anquan Bolden Jr. are back. Yes, Anquan Bolden Jr. Maryland transfer Noah Bachelor could give them a spark, but it just feels like anything more to, even if they improve, right, to 5-6 wins, still in the low tier. I just feel like it's a lot to ask. So, yes, Jay, I'm going to be living down here in the low here. So we gotta start picking up the mid and high tier here, man.
Of course you are. I think if you gave Buffalo 6 conference wins right now, they would take it and run. Okay, so that would be a great year for them in this conference. Central Michigan, though, we talked about Anthony Pritchard, just what he does on both ends of the floor, an absolute beast. Bethune-Cookman transfer guard Jacoby Eddy can give them a little bit of offense. The bucket getter is 15 points per last year for Bethune-Cookman. Armani Mighty, obviously one of the best names in the entire country, but especially in the MAC. The Boston College transfer, now playing for Central Michigan. One of those guys that might not be an all-conference guy, but he definitely could be an all-conference guy. Armani Mighty, remember the name for sure, and he'll do enough along with Pritchard and Hetty to get Central Michigan in the old mid tier. Mike, your turn.
Mid action. All right. So mid-American action here. Eastern Michigan, 6-12. They got Jalen Billingsley back, and they're going with the DePaul route here. Jalen Terry and Deshaun Nelson, 2 guys that we covered a lot in the DFS realm. I think they're actually going to have a pretty good year at Eastern Michigan. They won't be going up against the likes of, UConn, St. John's and those teams. So I think those guys are going to find a lot of success. I do think there's going to be a struggle on the roster overall defensively, but I think they're going to have more than enough offense to get them into the old mid as well. And, man, we got the low and the mid here. We've only got one team in the high tier, Eric. Help us out here, man. Help us out.
Yeah, it is time. The team I'm going to place up in the high tier, though, is one that might be a bit of a hot take. So for me, I think we have to take a long, hard look at Kent State. They're coming in off of an 8-10 season. We already spent a little bit of time detailing the impression that we have for Davis. He is going to continue to be their stud this year. And beyond that, Barnett can give you a pretty solid contribution on both sides of the board, on both sides of the floor, I should say. This backcourt is going to be one that is going to have this team in contention pretty much from the jump. The program overall, like if you watch their games, they're scrappy, right? They're all rock fights. I expect them to be maybe the best defense in the entire conference, right? So, a bit of a down season last year where they posted an 8-10 record in conference play. I think that they will make a return to prominence and have Kent State all the way up in the high tier.
Love it, love it, love it. We got Miami of Ohio coming through here. Last few teams, 9-9 last year. Like what they've done in the portal. Suitor upside piece, but you got Antoine Woolfolk coming in from Rutgers, Cam Kraft coming in from Xavier. So those guys have upside, and then Makai Cooper, nice guard for them as well. So I'm slotting those guys there in the old mid. Jay, why don't you take a swing here at Northern Illinois?
Yeah, I like how you jumped in there and took Miami, so I would be stuck with Northern Illinois. Look, new look roster. We did talk about James Dent coming in, and usually when we talk about players on your team, that means we think Kylie Ugby, just like Eric said earlier. However, I just don't think they have enough on either end, to be honest, to be competitive every night. Fairleigh Dickinson, guy that never has to buy a drink on that campus or around it, Joe Munden Jr. Spent some time out there, obviously, if you recognize that name. He did average double figures last year, and he's going to have to do that again and then some for Northern Illinois to even be around that 5-win, 6-win number again. So, unfortunately, going to put them down there in the old low tier. Yeah, put them in the low. It's got to be there. Eric, save us again.
Man, let's keep getting to throw the lifesavers out here. Ohio is up next. Solid year last year, 13-5. We talked about Mitchell returning for year number 6. AJ Clayton is one of the better two-way players in this league. Last year alone, contributed 12 points and 2 blocks per game. Iowa State transfer guard Jackson Povetsky was a really good player in the mid-major ranks 2 years ago. I think we can see him return to form here for Ohio. And just top to bottom, I think this team's got the goods. So I'll bump them up to the high tier.
There we go.
Mike, I think you might have someone joining me in short order. Who's up next?
Yeah, we got Toledo, and we got to put them up there, right? Like, I know they've just been a staple at the top of the conference. Like Simmons, obviously, we talked about him. Western Michigan transfer guard Seth Hubbard, 14 points per game. He's going to give you some offense. Sonny Wilson was a 3-star recruit last year, played 28 minutes per game, flashed some talent there. So I think he'll be able to kind of step in and do some damage. And then you have, Adams coming from Buffalo, who is kind of a jack of all trades. So Kowalczyk going to play that up and down game. Simmons at the 5, the small ball 5. Like, he's just perfected getting up and down and making things happen. So, yes, I do have to have Toledo up there. And we got one last team sitting there, Western Michigan, 9-9. We could put them in the low to make this thing even. They got guard Javon Hanna, guard Brandon Muntu, and then Owen Lobsinger. They all played solid minutes. Pacific guard Donovan Williams can do some damage. I think they get back to 8-9 wins, though. So that low tier, it's calling their name, but I think we can get them up into the mid. I think we can get them up into the mid safely. So
I think 8 or 9.
About this? Yeah, 8 or 9.
I think 8 or 9 is fair for this Western Michigan team. I don't think that's too far off at all. I mean, that's yeah. Donovan Williams will come in and move some furniture around. They'll be good. Fine, not too shabby, not great, but they'll be good. They'll be good enough for sure. Look at that beautiful tiers, those beautiful tiers there, high, mid, and low, which is where we will start with Bowling Green, Buffalo, and Northern Illinois down at the bottom. We'll call it the foundation of the MAC. The old mid tier, that's Ball State, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Miami, Ohio, and Western Michigan. Basically, if you are Michigan and you have a directional name in front of Michigan, you are in the mid tier in the MAC. It all lines up.
Lead to mid.
Okay, all things lead to mid for you. What's not mid are Akron, Kent State, Ohio, and Toledo. Ohio, who Johnny K says is a sneaky upset pick versus tough teams on a night in and night out basis, guys. Nobody wants to play Ohio in this conference.
No one's going to be happy seeing them.
Yeah, and that's all year round for sure, Johnny K. Good stuff there. We get the peanut butter posse stuff, who's throwing shade at Anquan Bolden. I don't know why Anquan Bolden's catching strays in the one and done live chat, but he is over here. I don't tolerate Anquan Bolden slander personally, but I get it. The value fantasy pick that never worked. Ohio will be a value pick on some of your betting sheets this season. So make sure that you take care of that. Yeah, Anquan Bolden. Yeah, his son. Isn't it amazing, Mike, that we're looking at these rosters and these names that are popping up?
It's scary.
And seeing guys that we grew up watching, playing football, and now their kids are, obviously Anquan Bolden's a football player, and those genes are solid, But then his son obviously playing for Buffalo here, who we don't feel like are going to have the best year.
I mean, an improved year, 2 wins to maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's almost double.
Technically,
Yeah.
an improvement.
Yeah, of course.
The tier doesn't
Anquan
change.
Bolden Jr. on Buffalo, I will not tolerate Anquan Bolden slander, though, sir. I don't know why you're bringing that heat into this chat. I will not tolerate it, but we tolerate everything else you do, Peanut Butter Posse, and we appreciate you. We appreciate Peanut Butter Posse, Eddie V, Johnny K, Nate C. Hustle, who dropped those fire emojis in there, Snake's Eyes, always keeping it lively, and of course Patrick, who hopped in there bright and early as this show just got the link was up. Patrick must have been thumbing through the YouTube app and saw that we had put up our link for our show today and hopped in there. We definitely appreciate Patrick for doing that, and we appreciate North Carolina on the money line. Better go get a field goal. Oh, we're talking football again. Okay, all right, y'all. Here we go. It's good. Is that legal? Are we allowed to do play? I guess it wasn't. We weren't doing it live, so that's okay.
We didn't say which North Carolina.
Yeah. And it's not Mac Brown, not eating Sally's cookies over there. It's tremendous. It's an epidemic tackling in America. just like turning the ball over in the college basketball game. You got to take care of it. Sally, make the cookies. Good stuff there. We appreciate everybody. Off the rails at the end, but pretty good show tonight covering the Horizon League and, of course, the return of the Mac. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. That is Mike. And if you didn't know, he's El Capitan in these parts, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. The other gentleman right there, that's Eric the Blue. Eric the Blue, number one in your hearts, last in the intros, last in the outros, except tonight, I am last in the intros. My name is Jay Heinrich. I'm the conductor of this whole thing. Choo choo kachuku. Follow me on Twitter. I meant cuckoo kachoo, but choo choo kachoo is what I meant to say. And we got there eventually. At Dr. William Cannon on X, on Elon's hellhole. I will follow you back as long as you're not a bot or somebody weird. I'll follow you. I promise you. Let's get those follower counts up. At One and Done CBB as well on Twitter, on Instagram, and over there in those TikTok streets at Napesy Hustle. At The Real Napier, of course. Napesy Hustle, our guy. Follow him too. Mid is unacceptable in the day of dispensaries. Peanut Butter Posse, if it smokes, it smokes. And around here, One and Done is on fire. So make sure you're hanging out with us. Push all those buttons, hanging out with us. More importantly, tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourself. Don't go too far because One and Done's never too far away from you. We will see you next time. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.